Deepti Galaron joins me on the set for today's press review. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
You're starting with reactions to this new EU deal to block 90% of Russian oil imports by the end of the year.
A remarkable achievement. That's what the British daily The Guardian said on its front page of its website this Tuesday, really echoing the comments made by the president of the European Council, Charles Michel. Now, after those late-night talks, EU leaders agreed to the deal, which will, as you said, effectively cut around 90% of oil imports from Russia into the EU by the end of the year. Now, Hungary, really the country playing sort of a big role in those talks. Hungary is extremely dependent on Russian oil, and for the moment will be exempted from this oil ban, so Hungary will still be able to import Russian oil. This was sort of the temporary compromise in exchange for Budapest's lifting of its veto on Russian sanctions. Nevertheless, for the French version of the Huffington Post, the deal is certainly maximum pressure, it says, on Russia.
Now, the front pages, of course, came out before this deal was announced early Tuesday morning, but the reactions are still relevant. What have you found?
Well, the Spanish paper El País says, this deal was far from the total ban that Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president, wanted. But it is a good sign. It's a sign that the 27-member EU bloc have restored their unity amidst this war in Ukraine. The Russian business daily Kommersant, meanwhile, sort of is rather more scornful, warning that Europe is going to be left embarrassed because this oil ban will lead to higher petrol prices, which will ultimately benefit Russian oil companies. So they say, it's all very counterproductive.
The papers today are also paying tribute to a French journalist who was killed while aboard a humanitarian convoy in eastern Ukraine.
That's right. That journalist, Frédéric Leclerc-Imhoff, he was 32. He was killed while covering the war for French news channel BFM TV. He'd been riding in an armored humanitarian convoy when the vehicle was hit by shrapnel from a shell attack. His face making the front page of the Italian daily La Stampa today, which notes that he's also the 8th reporter killed in the war in Ukraine. Tributes in the Western press, but not so much in the Russian media. In fact, the Huffington Post talks about how a Russian press agency bizarrely called the journalist a, quote, foreign mercenary, not a journalist, despite, blaring proof to the contrary. The Russian press really depicting him as a mercenary, an accomplice who'd been there providing weapons to the Ukrainian army. So a very bizarre twist on this from the Russian press.
Deepti, another story that continues to dominate the front pages is the French police's chaotic handling of the Champions League final over the weekend.
Well, the French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin sort of poured fuel on the fire on Monday by blaming a fake ticket scandal as a real reason for the chaos that saw fans tear-gassed by police outside the stadium, and so those rushes of panic. Stade de Denis, that's what Libération, the left-wing paper, says, sort of play on words of Stade de France. Saturday's mayhem has once again rocked France's policing strategies, Libé says, and leaves us fearing for the worst ahead of two major sporting events in France in the next 2 years, the Rugby World Cup next year and, of course, the Paris 2020 Olympics. Another French paper, L'Humanité, meanwhile, says that public security is at a critical stage. Again, a play on words of the word stadium on its front page.
You're finding equally scathing response from the British papers as well.
Well, the Star Sport really relaying Liverpool fans' sort of outrage that they're somehow being blamed for the French police's poor handling of the chaos, and specifically that it was the Liverpool fans who had all the fake tickets. Specifically, Liverpool's manager Jurgen Klopp allegedly blamed for encouraging these ticketless fans to come to Paris. You're not serious, the Star Sport says in a play on words headline. Similar fury from the Daily Express's sports pages, which slams what it calls a bizarre French bid to smear Klopp.
All right, staying with the sports themes now. The men's quarterfinals at the French Open in Paris is a match of the Titans this Tuesday. Rafael Nadal faces Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, and it's got all the flavors of a final, really, Jeannie. 13-time clay court king. Rafa goes up against Novak Djokovic. Rafa is coming off a epic 5-set match. The two haven't actually faced each other since their semi-final a year ago at the French Open. A match of giants, a night of giants, that's what L'Equipe says, and that's not really even a hyperbole. This is sort of the match of the tournament. The match is actually being played at nighttime despite Rafael Nadal's preference to play during the day, and that decision is a result of an intense media battle, the French sports paper L'Equipe explains, for television rights, because it's always about money in sporting events. In fact, that sort of jostling for television rights between French broadcaster France Télévisions and Amazon Prime.
All right, Dipti, just to wrap up now, you've got a U.S. study that's linking baby names to evolution.
Yeah, it's a really interesting article. Apparently, according to researchers at the University of Michigan, while many parents want to sort of conform to the latest baby name trends, the parents who give their babies unusual names are actually mimicking an evolutionary process. It's called negative frequency dependent selection, and basically means that a genetic trait is more desirable if it's less common. Out of curiosity, I did sort of a quick survey of some of the unusual baby names you might find. This year, a Chilean couple named their baby Griezmann Mbappé after the two French footballers.
That's a fan.
That's a fan. While in India, a woman named her baby Uber because that's where she happened to give birth. However, in France, so you'll know this, Jeannie, you can't name your kid whatever you want because French authorities can actually ban a first name if they consider it contrary to the interests of a child.
Indeed, Dipti. Thanks so much for that. Dipti Caron with today's press review. Don't forget, if you want to get a closer look, you can always check it out on the website. That address is france24.com.